Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while since I've posted, and I'm sorry about that. Life just gets in the way sometimes. Okay, so, I've got a bit of a confession to make before we get into this week's video. It's not exactly something I'm proud of, but I think it's time someone knew. So basically, I had this guy Vince that I was dating for a few months. We were pretty serious, or at least I thought we were. He was one of those guys who always showed up on time and made me laugh, so I figured he must be the real deal. Turns out, he wasn't. Yeah, it's not gonna sound great, but, okay, fine. I ghosted him. It sounds harsh, but honestly, I just needed a break from dating after a string of pretty rough experiences. I was burnt out and didn't know how to handle myself around guys. Vince was the easiest way out, and yeah, it wasn't the most noble thing to do. I'm not proud of it, trust me. But anyway, that's all water under the bridge now. I've moved on with my life, or so I thought. You see, Vince lives in a different part of town, but apparently, I live next door to him. Like, literally right across the street from each other. It's crazy how small our neighborhoods are. The weird thing is, we've only just started talking, but it feels like we know each other already. We'll be out and about, minding our own business, when suddenly we'll exchange a few words or something, and it's like no time has passed at all. I'm not even joking, it's freaky. I feel like I've known him my whole life. It's gotten to the point where I'm starting to wonder if maybe I should just talk to him again, you know? Get things out in the open or something. But a part of me is still wary about all this. What would he even say to me after what happened back then? Would it be awkward? Would we never be able to look at each other the same way again? I don't know, guys, I'm really lost right now. All I can do is try to navigate these weird new developments and see where they take us. And honestly, a part of me is kinda excited to find out. Maybe this is exactly what I needed after all that ghosting drama, a chance to make things right or something. But for now, yeah, I'm not even sure where to start. Okay, so here's the thing, we had a little run-in yesterday that left me pretty shaken up. We were both just standing outside our houses when he approached me and asked if everything was okay. That's simple. No pressure, no nothing. I told him it was fine, but of course, it wasn't. I just walked away before things could escalate into something bigger. It's not that I'm trying to be avoidant or anything, it's just, yeah. The timing was all wrong, and now my mind is racing with what-ifs and should-haves. I guess what I'm saying is that this whole situation has left me feeling really off balance. I don't know who Vince is anymore, or what he wants from me, or even if we can ever go back to being friends again. And honestly, that's a lot of uncertainty for one day. I stood there in my backyard, staring at the fence that separated me from him. It felt like a cruel joke, really. I had ghosted him yesterday, and now he was just a neighbor away. The more I thought about it, the more anxious I became. What if he decided to talk to me again? What if we ended up in some awkward conversation outside our houses? I tried to shake off the thoughts, telling myself I was being ridiculous. Vince was a great guy, and we had no history that would lead him to care this much about what I was feeling. But my mind kept wandering back to those piercing blue eyes of his, and the way he smiled when he asked me if everything was okay. It was a smile that made me feel all fluttery inside, and now it just made me uncomfortable. I tried to distract myself by going for a walk around my block, but the more I walked, the more I felt like I was being pulled back to him. And then, of course, I saw him standing in his yard, looking at me with that same concerned expression. My heart skipped a beat as he waved at me, and I just froze. I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to wave back and pretend like everything was fine, but another part of me just wanted to turn around and hide. I stood there for what felt like an eternity, watching him walk towards the fence that separated us. And then, he spoke up. "Hey Zena. Can we talk?" He asked, his voice low and gentle, and I felt my heart sink even further. I swallowed hard, trying to come up with something, anything, to say. But all that came out was a stupid, It was like I had been punched in the gut. How did this happen? How did we end up in this situation? Vince looked at me with a mix of concern and curiosity, and for a moment, I just wanted to break down and explain everything to him. But then my phone buzzed on my pocket, breaking the silence. It was Tatum, calling to ask how my day was going. I hesitated for a moment before picking up, trying to come up with a believable answer. But as I started talking to her, I couldn't shake off the feeling that I was living in a nightmare. Vince's eyes were still fixed on me, and I could sense him watching me from across the fence. And then, just as we were getting into our conversation, my phone rang again. This time, it was my best friend, asking if I wanted to grab brunch with her later. I tried to compose myself, laughing off my distraction and telling Tatum that everything was fine, but Vince's gaze had become more intense, as if he could see right through me. I felt like a deer caught in the headlights, unable to move or look away. "Hey, sorry, what was I saying?" I muttered, trying to keep the conversation going with Tatum while simultaneously avoiding eye contact with Vince. He didn't respond, just kept staring at me with an unreadable expression. As we wrapped up our call, my phone rang again, and this time it was the realtor from the apartment complex, calling to confirm our move-in dates. I had completely forgotten about that, assuming I would be moving into a new place in a few weeks' time, not realizing that Vince's family had moved into the house next door. The connection clicked, and suddenly everything felt like a cruel joke. Vince's eyes never left mine as I listened to the realtor explain our new living arrangements. When she hung up, he finally spoke, his voice low and even. "You're moving in next to me," he stated, the words barely above a whisper. There was no question, just a statement of fact. I felt like I'd been punched again, this time harder than before. "Yeah, that's right," I replied, trying to keep my tone light. But Vince didn't respond, just kept staring at me, his expression unreadable. The silence between us grew thicker and heavier by the second, until it felt like a physical presence. I could feel Vince's eyes boring into mine, searching for something, but what? Answers? Clues? Tatum's voice broke the tension as she called out to me from across the fence. "Hey, Zena. Can you come over here and chat for a bit?" Her tone was friendly, innocent even, which only made my anxiety spike. I hesitated, unsure of how to respond or what to do next. The situation had become too complicated, too messy. I felt like I was trapped in a web of my own making, with no clear way out. I looked back at Vince and Tatum, trying to gauge their reactions to the sudden change in plans. But Vince just raised an eyebrow and turned away, disappearing into his house without another word. I watched him go, feeling a twinge of guilt and unease. Tatum's voice called out again, more insistent this time. "Zena, come on. It's been like forever since we last talked. What's going on?" I felt a lump form in my throat as I turned back to the fence, trying to compose myself. I took a deep breath and made my way over to the fence, trying to think of something, anything, to say to Tatum. But before I could even begin, she spotted Vince's truck parked outside his house and her expression changed from friendly to concerned. "Hey, is everything okay?" she asked, eyeing me warily. "You seem really shaken up." I felt a surge of defensiveness at her question, but before I could respond, the door to my house creaked open and Vince appeared in the doorway, his eyes fixed on me like he could see right through me. I tried to keep my composure, to pretend like nothing was wrong. But it was too late. The air had been charged with tension, and now everything felt raw and exposed. Tatum took a step back, her hand on her hip, while Vince strode out into the yard, his movements deliberate and slow. "Listen," I said finally, trying to cut through the silence that had fallen between us like a shroud. "I need some space, okay? Can you give me some space?" But Tatum's eyes told me she didn't believe me, and Vince's gaze seemed to bore into my very soul. For a moment, we stood there in an awkward tableau, the only sound the creaking of trees in the wind. Then, without warning, Vince spoke up, his voice low and menacing. "I know what you did," he said, his eyes never leaving mine. "I don't think I can do this anymore," Tatum said finally, her voice laced with a mix of sadness and anger, as she turned to leave. But Vince caught up to her, his long strides eating up the distance between them. "You're not going anywhere," he said, his eyes flashing with a fire that made me take a step back. I watched in horror as Tatum's face contorted in pain, and I knew I had to act fast. Before I could intervene, Vince reached out and grabbed Tatum's arm, spinning her back around to face him. The air was charged with tension as the two of them faced off against me, their eyes blazing with a fierce intensity. And then, just like that, it was over. Vince turned and stormed off into the darkness, leaving Tatum standing there, looking like she'd been punched in the gut. I felt a wave of relief wash over me, followed by a crushing sense of guilt. I had put her through hell, and now I had to face the consequences. I took a deep breath and turned to leave, but as I reached my car, I realized that it was parked on the other side of the street, with Vince's car right next to mine. I felt a shiver run down my spine as I got out and walked around to the driver's side door. As I opened it up, I saw Tatum standing in her driveway, watching me with a mix of sadness and determination etched on her face. "Why did you do it?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I hesitated, unsure of how to respond. I looked away, trying to gather my thoughts, but as I glanced back at Tatum, I saw something that made my heart skip a beat. A small package was sitting on the hood of my car, wrapped in brown paper and twine. It was addressed to me, with Vince's handwriting scrawled across the front. I felt a surge of panic as I realized what it must be, a goodbye gift, meant to hurt her even more. But as I looked back at Tatum, I saw something unexpected, a small smile playing on her lips. "Maybe this is our chance to start over," she said, her voice filled with hope. "If you're willing to work for it." I felt my heart swell with emotion as I looked at the package in my hands, and at Tatum standing there, waiting for me. And honestly, I still think about what happened that night, how I chose to leave, and how I ended up right back where I started. Would you have done things differently?